Oh, there it's working. Sorry about that. It wouldn't unmute for me. I had to go back in and out. So welcome everybody to the June 19th, 2024 meeting. And I'll just get my notes up here and we'll get started. That way, I would like to start by welcoming everybody to the territory. I'm on the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh properties in Vancouver, attending meetings with BCPC. But we're also on the traditional territories of the Gitxsan, Haisla, Nisga'a, and Tsimshian, and Wet'suwet'en people. And we're honored to work with their children and privileged to live on these lands. Welcome to the meeting. We're also live streamed on the CMSD 82's YouTube channel, and I see a number of guests have joined us, which is great. I'll start by introducing myself and then the trustees, and then we'll have the district staff introduced led by Erin. So I'm Margaret Workup. I'm your school board trustee and chairperson of the meeting. And if I go across the screen, the next person to introduce themselves is Mike Maxim.
Yeah, is that working?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Mike Maxim, trustee for Thornhill.
Next on the screen is Ed Harrison.
Ed Harrison, trustee for Terrace.
Next is Wayne.
Wayne Jones, trustee and steward.
Next is Karen.
Karen Yonkman, trustee from Kitimat.
And I don't see Julia or Sunny yet. So hopefully I didn't hear regrets from them. So hopefully they're coming in. And I'll turn it over to Erin to introduce your staff, please.
It's lovely to be here this evening, and I'm joined in my office.
Carol Gagnon, good afternoon, Amasa. Welcome to our last meeting of the year.
I'm going to go just around the horn on my screen and look to Tina McDonald.
Amasa, nice to see you all on this beautiful sunny day. Tina McDonald, District Principal. You want me to get Phil to go?
Kiran Bath here, Director of HR. Nice to see you all.
Magali Suliak, Tanis Newsom, Robert Clifton, Director of Instruction for Indigenous Education.
Ginger Fuller, Secretary Treasurer.
Rob Shibley, Director of Facility Services.
Is that your whole team there, Erin? No, you haven't got everybody.
I think there may be a couple of more. I'll let them jump in.
Hey, Joe Dominguez, Vice Principal at Cal, and also the International Student Program Administrator. And I have a fellow over here, a special guest we have. Go ahead.
My name is Abner. I am from Brazil, the south part.
And he's one of our international students.
Okay.
Amasa, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you today. I have two young people joining us as well for the Student Voice presentation. Finn Detweiler and Bella King are on with us. Finn, and Isabella, are you there and able to say a quick hi to everyone?
Yes, hello. I'm Isabella King, and I'm a grade 11 student at Caledonia Secondary.
Yes, hi, I am Finnegan Detweiler, and I am a 10th grade student at Caledonia Secondary.
Welcome.
Thank you both.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Juliana Cars, Director of Instruction Learner Support, and I just have to say how lovely it is to have some students on the meeting today.
Very much so.
Hi, everyone. Geraldine Lawler, Director of Instruction, Graduation, and Innovation. Happy to see these young faces here and hearing from people today. Looking forward to that. Thank you.
Hey,
I believe that's our team, Margaret.
okay, great. Thank you. So a couple of things to report on. One is June. June is Indigenous History Month, and it's a time to celebrate the diverse cultures, the achievements, and the resilience of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Let's continue to listen and learn from their stories and histories as we collectively embrace reconciliation. Additionally, June is Pride Month, and the Coast Mountain School District is bringing awareness to our community of the LGBTQ2S+ community. During Pride Month, we celebrate the diversity with gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation as we strive to create safe, inclusive, and welcoming spaces for all learners. Lots of year-end activities are occurring, and we look forward to the graduations, which happened all of last week, and things, and the employee service rewards and retirements that have been held throughout the district, thanking our staff that have been dedicated to our school district. We have two presentations this morning, or this afternoon, sorry, it's been a long day, and a presentation in a bit in terms of from the music students. So join me in welcoming Philip Barron, our district principal, mentoring and learning engagement, who will share a presentation on student voice, and then Joe Dominguez, the International Student Program Administrator, who will share a presentation on School District 82's International Student Program. Just before they start, just to let me know, but you can get it up. At the end of the public meeting, we'll be able to have our question period, and questions will be welcomed at that time on what's on the board agendas. Questions and comments about personnel issues, individuals, or property acquisitions are not applicable or appropriate for public meetings. We will do a written response to questions to the board, will be provided when practicable to do so. And we are recording our meeting. So I would like to ask for Philip to start with his presentation, and then I'll call the meeting to order and we'll move forward through the agenda. So
Wonderful.
Philip.
Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that. And I also want to pass along my appreciation for the opportunity to share some information today with regards to the student voice work that we did this year. And again, my thanks and gratitude to both Finn and Isabella for being present with us. I'm going to ask them for some input over the course of the next, few minutes as we do this presentation. So for those people who were present at May's Education Committee meeting, we did a little bit of an intro and some information on the student voice work. Some of this will be a little bit of a repeat, but there's also some additional information that we've added to this. So this year, we took the student voice work to a whole nother level. We embedded a lot of this work into what was going on in our middle schools and high schools right from the outset of the year through conversations with school-based leadership. We asked for diverse representation of our young people, and we had a much higher level of participation this year than we did even last year. So I would certainly start off by saying that the foundational work that we did this year for Student Voice was a huge success. Came off really well this year. Erin, if you don't mind, we'll move to the next slide. And thank you for moving the slides along for us. And you can see here, this is just basically advocacy for our young people. They're our most powerful change makers. Michael Fullen reported this out in 2021, and it's really important that we as a school district begin that shift and begin that transition to really listening closely to what our young people are telling us about their learning experiences in schools. We'll go to the next one. So a quick review about what Student Voice is. Basically, it describes how our young people give their input in terms of what's going on in their schools and their classrooms. It's an approach which our young people are encouraged to share their values and perspectives with people in leadership positions. This year, that was me going into all the middle schools and high schools, doing 2 visits. And I'm really happy to share with you that we also had our school-based administrative teams present and involved in the initial visit as well. And in 2 or 3 of the follow-up visits to the schools, the administrators attended that as well and got to hear some really important feedback from our young people in all of our schools. And our desire is pretty clear. We want our young people to know that we value their opinions, their ideas in all aspects of their school life. So on the next slide here, and I'm going to ask Finn and Bella to jump in a moment. So what did it look like? We had diverse representation, as I mentioned, from all 7 of our middle and high schools. We had more participation this year than last year. We were up to 124 students that voluntarily participated and got involved in our student voice work. That's 50 more young people than a year ago. We started each session in circle together. We grounded ourselves, we got to know one another, and we introduced a compassionate systems leadership framework, just as a chance to have everyone relax and fully engaged in the process that we were about to unveil. We had 21 questions that were posted on chart paper, and students had the opportunity to write their responses to the questions, their comments, their thoughts, their opinions, went on sticky notes, and then those got attached to the large chart paper. It was all done anonymously, and the feedback that we received over the course of this year and last year was that keeping it anonymous initially was the best way to do this. It allowed students the opportunity to speak freely and to be very honest in their answers and their responses. We did ask that students not specifically name staff or any adults, but to be as honest and transparent as they could possibly be in response to the questions. This year, we added 3 questions that were specifically directed towards anti-racism and discrimination in our schools, and that was incredibly helpful for helping us to get a bit more of a clear picture of what's going on in our schools in those areas. Finn, can I ask you first, if that's okay on this one? Would you mind sharing something with the group about what you enjoyed or what you took out of student voice sessions? And then Bella, after Finn has a chance, could you chime in as well, please?
Yeah, so I really liked, again, Anonymous. That was a great thing. It let everyone speak their mind super clearly, super easily. I also really enjoyed the fact that there were snacks, which got a lot of people to come more, since we are not usually allowed to eat our snacks in the library. It gave us a good opportunity to it felt more like hanging out than it did a actual serious thing, which made it very easy for us to communicate properly together. And yeah, that's my main points.
Thank you.
For me, just building off what Finn was saying, I also enjoyed that it felt more like casual and laid back, and I felt like students were able to answer the questions honestly in comparison to a form given out by teachers and whatnot. But I personally really enjoyed being able to share my opinions and then things that I think could improve in the school, especially as a student going into grade 12 and especially as an Indigenous student. So I feel like having that student perspective was really nice to see that people actually care what we say and what we want to see changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Aaron, if you don't mind, the next slide. So a few of the benefits of student voice, and actually I've done a little bit more research on this, and we had 3 main benefits of student voice, and then through some of the reading that I've been doing over the last little while, there's additional benefits as well. Engagement, we see increased student engagement at all levels, and we can address equity in the classroom and the community by listening to what our young people are telling us. It encourages collaboration between students and teachers. This information was all shared with school staffs. School-based leadership teams shared this at staff meetings, and they have begun the conversation around what the results and what the feedback had to say from our young people. Student-led approaches overall improve youth mental health, and obviously it would have a significant impact on the culture and creating it in a positive way in the school. Down at the bottom, I indicated that research indicates that students who believe they have a voice in school are 7 times more likely to be academically motivated than students who do not believe they have a voice. And that is something that we're going to continue to remind people across the district, the importance of listening to what our young people are telling us. And so much of it is positive. Absolutely. So much is positive, but we also have some areas where we know we have a little bit of work to do. The next slide is just a visual of what the procedure, the process looked like. On the left, we see a couple of young people here. This was, I believe, when I was at Hazelland Secondary School. Two young men who really enjoyed the opportunity to do this together, and, you know, share their thoughts and ideas with one another comfortably. And they participated in all 21 of the questions, which was great. And on the right, you see there the question number 1, tell me something that you like about school. It was fantastic to hear what so many young people had to say about their positive experiences. So on the next slide, I have a sample question about who believes in you and who believes you can succeed. We had 186 responses to this. And in spite of the fact we had 124 young people respond and participate, obviously we had multiple responses from some of our youth, which were great. You can see responses varied: parents, family, mom, dad, teachers, staff, principals, friends, myself. At the end, when I went through and tallied up all 186 responses, 98% of the students indicated they had someone who believed in them, which was a very positive result. And so I brought that back to all of the schools and shared that with all of the young people in our second visit. So again, very positive and very happy to see something like that. On the next slide is a bit more of a broader analysis of the responses. Again, every student was able to say something positive about their experience in school. For some young people, it was their friends, food programs, some of the courses. But the really nice piece of that, everybody had something positive to say. The majority, more than 80% of our young people, feel connected to peers and or staff, which again is really good. Foods, clubs, teams, extracurricular activities, and some classes were all listed as reasons why students go to school. That was a separate question that asked who or what makes you want to come to school every day. More than 2/3 of students would like more opportunities to share their thoughts and opinions about things like bell schedules, course offerings. At this point, I'd like to go back to we'll go to Bella this time and then Finn. The question that I have for both of you is, do you believe, or do you see a need for more student voice opportunities? What are your thoughts? Bella and then Finn.
For me, I think that yes, we do need more student voices, because I feel like high school is made for youth, and I feel like youth should want to, as adults and as high school is transitioning us into the adult world, I think that it would be nice to have more opportunities to be like heard and have stuff that, you know, where adults take us seriously in this kind of matter. And I think that for some students who maybe feel like they have no control over their life, this might be an opportunity to feel like, oh, well, maybe I can make a difference, and might be, you know, a motivator to continue on what they're doing and continue their high school journey into post-secondary. Thank you.
Thank you. Finn?
Yeah, building off what she said, a lot of students will feel like they do not have a lot of control about what they do, especially in the school system where there are mandatory classes. And having that, being able to just speak your mind to someone who is above you and can actually do something about the system you are in is a very good opportunity to feel like you are actually important in the system that you are in. It really helps to know that there are actually people listening and people caring, because it also makes you want to feel like you can care about your own education and your life, basically. And sometimes I will hear complaints about students or from students being all, oh, I am really tired all the time. I'm really sad all the time because I can't finish my work, or I get to school too early and I'm really tired. And being able to talk about that with the teachers and the board is really, really inspiring to get people to actually talk about what they want from their schedules and their places in the actual community.
Wonderful. Thank you both. 2 more quick points here on this slide. When we analyzed the responses, we saw that many students find schools to be a welcoming place, which on the surface level, when you read that and understand that, pretty positive overall, but a little bit of a concern that not all of our students find their schools to be a welcoming place. And as I say, that information has been shared with school-based leadership teams and school staffs. And so there's probably an area of work there. It's something that, every school can focus on, trying to make sure that we're reaching out to every one of our young people to welcome them and include them in school events and support them when they walk in our doors each and every day. And then the last point there, students have some excellent ideas how to combat racism and discrimination. That's going to be a big part of the student voice work next year, is taking a lead across the district on the anti-racism and discrimination piece. It was very telling that we have some challenges in some of our schools around some of the behaviors and some of the choices that some of our young people are making. And so who better to help us map out a plan to make things better than our young people themselves? So we're really excited about that work. The next slide, there's just a few pictures there of how actively engaged our young people were. As I say, the option was there to do it with friends, with peers, by yourself. It was interactive. Students were up and moving. I know on the slide on the left, they started out sitting down, but they had to get up and move and put the sticky notes up. And it was amazing how in some sessions it started off a bit quiet, but then by the time question 2 and question 3 came around, it was very interactive and students were quite chatty. So aspirations of student voice. So where do we want to go from here? Well, we want to amplify student voice across the district, and we've taken some steps to do that in the last 2 years. Big steps this year, in fact. We want to help our educators know our learners better, a more clear picture and understanding of how young people are feeling, strengthen and increase student voice opportunities, both at the school and district level. We're working on plans to ensure that every school has either a leadership group or a student council group so that there can be an ongoing regular conversation, as well as this type of student voice work. And we're going to establish a district-wide student voice advisory group. There'll be 2 or 3, maybe 4 students from each of the middle schools and high schools meeting with me and working with me every month. And then we're going to bring some of that work into our elementary schools and all of our communities as well. As I mentioned, we're going to be taking a big role in terms of the youth mental health piece. There was a lot of feedback from our young people on that, and the anti-racism discrimination piece. We're also going to embed some of the Compassionate Systems leadership tools in the work that we're going to do with our student voice groups. So we're really excited about that. We've had a tremendous partnership with Joanne Schroeder this year. And I'm really happy to say that that partnership is going to continue next year. And Joanne is going to come on and do a little bit of work with our student voice groups as well. So it's exciting. And then the last point there, recognizing our young people as change agents. There are some things that we know we can do a better job at in all of our schools and across the district. And I think it's very important. It's vital that our young people help us with that work. Next steps. So, but before I do, one more quick question for Finn and Bella on this, if that's okay. You've heard me mention, and you heard me talk in the student voice sessions, Finn and Bella, that we're going to look at the anti-racism and discrimination piece, the youth mental health. Is there something else that either one of you can think of that we should be focusing on or looking at more clearly? If you don't think so, do you want to make a comment on the youth mental health piece and the anti-racism piece? Finn first and then Bella.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else we could do at this point. But for the anti-racism specifically, it's really good that we're actually starting to talk to students instead of just the teachers, because sometimes the teachers cannot see that these students are actually being discriminated against, which is harmful, very obviously. And it's really hard when you're that student being discriminated against, because it makes you feel like you're out of place for your school, and it really hurts. Coming from a little bit of experience as a LGBTQ person myself, the discrimination to queer students and Indigenous students and Black students, it is pretty plain to see when you see the jokes and all of the remarks that people will make in the hallways without anyone actually noticing.
Thank you, Finn.
Yeah, for the anti-racism bit, you know, as an Indigenous student, I find that Indigenous issues are, well, obviously very important to me and very, you know, dear to me. So I feel like on that note, what Finn was saying, like when teachers don't realize certain things, I feel like that also negatively affects the students and the ability of the students to continue their classes, and you know, they don't feel motivated that much when they're not getting the support they need in the correct way. Also, I feel like as a school, as my school, needs to bring more awareness to Indigenous issues. Like this year, I hosted, or not hosted, I put together a little presentation and an assembly for May 5th, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Day, like the Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. And I think that kind of awareness is so important, especially to high school students and people who are about to go off in the world, because, you know, as youth, we are the people who are supposed to be making change. And if people just don't know about these things, then I feel like, you know, that's what's hindering our growth process, not only as a school, but as a society. So I think that awareness is really important, because reason why people are making like these ignorant comments and jokes is simply that because they just don't know. So I think awareness is the most important thing and the first step that we should be doing right now as a, you know, school district and high schools and stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. So both of the comments that Finn shared and Isabella shared, that's exactly what came out in our student voice sessions. Young people in all the schools said we need increased awareness, and we need to develop plans to deal with this, because it is happening, and it's not pleasant. It's very uncomfortable for a lot of our youth. So that slide that you see in front of you there, again, a couple more photos of some interaction, and I pretty much covered the information on the left-hand side. We're really excited about the district-wide student voice advisory group and getting that off the ground for September, and increasing the opportunities for our young people to have their voice heard, not only in their schools, but at the district level, like today here at this board meeting. So in closing, I just want to say thank you again to everyone for the opportunity to share this with you. And a huge thanks to Isabella and to Finn for being here, for being a part of the student voice sessions in the school over the last few months. And they are keen advocates to get involved in the working groups that we'll have established for next year. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of Isabella and Finn in the future here. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And that was excellent information for us all to hear and share and to think about next year. And we'll just keep moving forward now to have Joe Dominguez, and our student program administrator, share with us some other good news that's happening.
All right. Well, I do want to say how much I appreciate Finn and Bella for your courage and the work that you guys are doing. I'm quite proud of our students. So thank you for that, Phil, and all the work that you've done with our students as well. It's awesome. So I do want to just, again, Abner, he introduced himself. He's one of our international students from Brazil. We actually had one leave us yesterday. It was it was tough. It was like, oh, this is tougher than I thought, because she was our first student from Chile and first international student who enrolled with us through our program. And these guys are going to be going back next week, and I know a lot of them would like to stay a little bit longer because 5 months just flew by. So what I want to just bring to your attention, give you again just the good news and where we are and how it all works with the program. And again, the whole idea behind why I was inspired to do this is, you know, I know that if you're a history person, that we talk about in books and in the classrooms about different countries and different ethos that they do in different areas. So, well, why not bring that into our schools and in our community? So I thought, hey, let's see if there's an appetite for this. And again, I do want to first, I do want to say thank you to Ginger and Aaron for supporting this program and seeing it where it is right now. I'm very encouraged, and I'm optimistic where we're going to be in the next 5 years. And that's where I'll share with you where we are and how it all works. So Aaron, if you can go to the next slide. And I just want to share some of the things that we do with our students is there's a we try to do a monthly activity with students. I know we missed a month or two here and there, but we try to create a community, because oftentimes when these kids are coming from all over the world, they don't know anybody. So we do actually at Caledonia, we started an international club, just so that when the new students coming to school, they have a place where they can find a sense of belonging. And so these are some of the activities that we did. I hosted a barbecue at our place when it was warm enough to host one, and then they've gone skating. I've actually even taken them all the way to Kincolith during the Oolican harvest, and fortunate enough to know people there that were willing to show the students and how this Oolicans are harvested, and just the way of living over there in that area. And then they gave us a bucket of Oolicans to actually try. It was quite entertaining, because in our gathering, we fried them and showed them that well, being Filipino, we eat the whole thing. Nothing goes to waste. So I started showing them, hey, this is how we eat these things. Nothing goes to waste. I went head first, and they were quite disgusted. They didn't want to try that, eating the Oolican after, but some of them were brave enough to try it. Did you try it, Everaldo? The fish?
Everaldo?
Or up there?
No.
Did you try the Oolican?
I don't try to do it.
No, they
forward to that.
no, but apparently in Brazil they only like chocolate, not fish, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right. So anyways, these are some of the activities that we've done. And then in the future, I know that as we continue to expand, we'll have different activities that we will be doing with the students. And just last weekend, we had our farewell gathering for all the students. And again, it's been just an amazing experience with having homestay hosts. We had jet skis out there, we had paddle boards, we had barbecue. Again, we're just trying to provide a memorable experience for these kids. And actually, instead of Mika talking, I do actually want to ask Abner about his experience. So Abner, why don't you share us about your experience with in Caledonia and in Terrace so far?
Okay, I can say Terrace is a receptive community. I don't speak English very well, but that I'm gonna say that I try to make friendships, and people receive me, people understand me, and try to help me. The teachers develop some dynamics and group that help me to speak with my classmates, because it's hard to try to speak with someone you don't know the culture, and you don't speak really well. And the teachers do these dynamics, help me to speak with my classmates. Terrace is a really beautiful city. That's amazing. I go sometimes for trios with my host parents, and that can say is really beautiful. Terrace have a lot of culture and a receptive community.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll ask you another question after. Okay. But how I just want to let you know how it all works and how these students come about. We are partners with all of these countries so far. And in each country, we have, like, for example, Germany, I have 10 partners, agent partners that basically send us students. So once I go to recruitment fairs or agent fairs, these agents will then recruit for us to try and basically sell our community. And for me, when I try to recruit agents in the agency fairs, it's not very difficult, because again, when you believe in your community and love your community, it's easy to encourage people. I think it just becomes contagious for people to see and experience what we experience here. And so, and I bring a little treat here and there, for especially if I know that it's going to be a good partnership. I give them a little bit of taste of Terrace by bringing smoked salmon and also Hazelton chocolate. Now, I only discovered Hazelton chocolate last year. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is good stuff. So I give them a little bit of taste of Hazelton, a little bit of taste of smoked salmon, and then Jackie actually was kind enough also, Jacqueline Robinson, she gave me a bunch of these beautiful earrings that she bakes So I'm like, my goodness, Jackie, I can't just give these away because they're so pretty. I'm like, it has to be a special person that I know. In the end, it's kind of a bit of a transactional thing. We'll give as students, but it's worked so far. So I'm going to stick to doing what I'm doing in terms of the gift giving. Right now, we have about 30 plus agents that are working for us all over the world. And so far, and this year, if Aaron, if you can go to the next agent or next slide, this year, just want to let you know, if you are not aware, my goal for February last year, and I think it was 5. And it just so happened that by February, it was a little bit overwhelming. I wasn't sure how it was all going to work, but through connections with other districts and the collaboration, we were able to create all the documents that's required, the legalities of it all, and able to get host families. And we were able to get 14 students right from the start. So I feel we're off to a good start. And then for the countries that we have 10 Brazilian students, 3 Vietnamese students that were walk-ons basically, and 2 I inherited from, I think it was the days of when perhaps even Janet, when they went overseas. And then we had another student from Chile, like I said, who went home just yesterday. And right now, and for next year, we have the goal for next year is about 15 students. And right now we have 14 students that are going to be with us. So 7 from Germany, 3 from Vietnam, 2 from Mexico, Netherlands, Brazil, and Switzerland. These are students that are coming in September or at the end of August. And then come second semester, which is at the end of January, we have about 10 more students coming. Again, that is all hinging on getting homestay families. And I'll speak a little bit about our homestay families. If we can go to the next slide. Before I do that, I'll just go with what I'm hoping to achieve in 5 years. So this year, like I said, we're pretty much where we're supposed to be, our targeted area. And the 2025-2026 school year, the hope is to get 30, and then the 4th year of the program to get 40, and then 50, and in 2027-2028, which is the 5th year of the program. That is my hope. That is the goal. And how, if we can go to the next page, please. And how that is only going to be accomplished through our homestay program. And, we were pretty fortunate enough to get right away, because the 11 students that we got in February or second semester, just through word of mouth, without really not knowing how to advertise this, we had 11 families that stepped up to take in these students. And just some of the, again, we have testimonials that I think I'll share with you guys at some point here, and the experience of the homestay families as well as students. It's really, I got a little emotional just watching the videos and the testimonies of the parents and the students and their experience so far, because I know Abner, for one, does not want to go home and he wants to stay. And I know for sure that he will come back one day. And I haven't spoken to any of our students that did not want to come back to Terrace. And it's just really neat that the homes that we've had so far, they went above and beyond what we were asking of them. They took them to, some of them went to Kelowna, some of them went to the ocean at the Kootsmatine to watch whales and as the grizzlies. I'm like, my goodness, you guys did all of that? And so really, this program, like I said to all the families, and continue to say to all families, that this program, the backbone of this international student program, is the homestay people. And I know that next year, Wayne is taking a student. We're sending one student to Stewart. And I hope that trend will continue, because I think it will be a positive experience for the student body, the school. And I'm really hoping as well that Hazelton's will take one in the future, because we do have a lot of students. As we speak, I've had to say no to some students because we just don't have availability of the homes. So hopefully, how can you get involved is, again, just letting them know and being a part of the program and being in the homestay, and again, an opportunity to bring the world to your home, and that cultural exchange piece. So one more question I have for Abner is his experience with the homestay. How has that homestay experience been? How has your family to you been?
Amazing family. My host parents is very concerned about my well-being. My first contact with an English speaker was the host family, and the host family gave me environment to speak and to share what they think, and he helped me to develop and improve my English. That's an amazing experience, and my host family showed for me the Canadian culture, and try to do some things for I feeling home. It's really good.
Awesome. Thanks, Abner. One more story that I will share from Julia Jacobs is that when the 4 students that we sent to Kitimat, the teachers were not very happy because I'm like, my goodness, these kids barely speak English. But after a week of getting to know these kids and seeing their work ethic, they were fighting over them. So I'm like, that's awesome. So I was happy to hear that from Julia, and I know that they've made really good a lot of friendships in Terrace and in Kitimat. And again, I want to, in the future, hopefully next year, we will have students in Hazelton as well as more students in Stewart. I think that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions. Oh, one more thing. Rebecca Greaves is our international or the homestay liaison. So she does most of the recruiting. If you've been to the farmers market, she's been there 4 times. And we also have ads in the paper and Facebook and report cards that will be going home to families. We have inserts there, so just to get the word out that hey, this is an awesome program that everybody can be a part of. Okay, well, thanks for listening, and hopefully you guys can be a part of this at some point and host a student in your home.
Wow, thank you very much. That's excellent to hear. Mike has a quick question, Mike, and that we need to keep moving forward. We've got another presentation.
Yeah, big chocolate fan. You piqued my interest with this hazelnut chocolate, not hazelnut, Hazelton's chocolate. Now, how am I going to get some of that?
I'll let you quickly answer, and then we're going to move forward.
If you go to Misty River, they sell it at the front there, but as you know, if it goes to the store, it's a little expensive. So I found who the person who made it in Hazelton, so I go directly to them.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do is move forward so we can have the next presentation. We initially start our meeting with the declaration of a quorum, and then I need a motion to approve the agenda before the Terrace Thornhill Parents for Music Society present, and they have a 10-minute presentation for us. So if I could have a trustee move approval of the agenda. I see Karen, and then I see Ed. All in favor? Passed. Ed or Mike, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I noticed that once again, the letter that I sent to the board is not on the agenda, and I'm wondering, can I find out from the other board members whether they received the letter that I sent?
All board members have received the letter, and it's an in-camera item. It includes personnel things. So we'll move forward, and I welcome the Terrace Thornhill Parents for Music Society to give us their 10-minute presentation. And I don't know, do you need assistance for setting it up, or because we have Amber Zanon, who's the president, and Miranda Leffler, the vice president, who are going to share their presentation. And I understand there's the slides as well as speaking. Yeah, so go ahead, Miranda or Erin. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All yours.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Miranda, and I have Amber with me as well. We're representatives of the Terrace Thornhill Parents for Music Society, parents of some students in the district and graduates of school music programs. Thank you so much for having us today to discuss music education in our schools. I'll get the next slide, please. Terrace and Thornhill have long been communities that pride themselves on the vibrant music and arts scene. The people of Terrace and Thornhill know that there are strong correlations between quality of music in schools, academic achievement, and success and enjoyment in life. Like so many parts of society, music and arts have faced considerable challenges in recent years, but music educators, families, and students have been working together to make sure that the progressive, high-quality music program we have grown accustomed to having in our schools not just survives, but thrives. The next slide, please. 30 years ago, every student from kindergarten through elementary school in Terrace and Thornhill had classroom music education multiple times per week during their classroom teacher's prep time, taught by a full-time specialist music teacher with post-secondary training in music. Music educators had been recruited from across Canada, and some of them are still teaching in the district today. Students at every school were able to start learning an instrument in grade 6, and the band and music programs at the junior and senior high schools were thriving. The teachers had autonomy in their roles, but also received considerable administrative support from the school district through a music coordinator that helped facilitate a collaboration between schools and coordination of resources. This iteration of the music program was established by a senior district administration that included the superintendent and especially an assistant superintendent who had an understanding of the importance of music to student success and the critical role that the music teacher plays in the success of the program. A trained, passionate music educator can teach through challenges, inspire students, and grow a program, but without them, the program could flounder because a decrease in the quality of music education results in declining enrollment. Just like in math, music education is progressive. As students move from elementary school to middle school to high school, they build on the foundation laid by their early education. While community support is important, the success of the program depends on specialized music educators at every level. I think there's something going on with the slides, so I hope that everyone's able to follow me because it doesn't seem to be working the way it did yesterday.
Sorry, Miranda, can I jump in?
Yeah.
I just put it in the chat. If you could just advance one. Yeah, so I'm so sorry. I did it on a transition. I didn't know we wouldn't have access to the slides. My apologies. So it might be like that on a few slides. You can just check, I guess. That's okay.
So we could jump ahead. One more, please. Okay, so I will carry on here. Despite the strength of the program in 1998, budgetary constraints led to a decision by the school board to make cuts to the elementary music program and eliminate the elementary band program. Hundreds of local students, music teachers, parents, and community members rallied to protest the decision, and the Dare to Dream Foundation was created to ensure continuity of the band program even in the absence of public funding. The program was thankfully reinstated by the school board the following year, but still relies heavily on support from the Dare to Dream Foundation and many, many volunteer hours from music educators and community members alike. Next slide, please. We are fortunate that we still have a music program in our district, but since 1998, the program has been quietly chipped away at by school district budget cuts and individual school administrative decisions. When schools were restructured and Skeena Junior Secondary became a middle school, grade 8 students had their instructional time in music reduced by more than 50%. After having a music program for more than 40 years, in 2012, Sul Lacs Elementary School replaced its music program with a general fine arts program that was taught by a non-specialist teacher. The following year, similar changes were proposed for Cassie Hall and École Mountain View, but considerable community support maintained the programs as they had been previously. Just last year, when the band teacher at Skeena Middle School vacated the position, virtually no effort was made to find a qualified specialist music teacher until parents and community members once again rallied to impress upon the superintendent the importance of music in our schools. The next slide, please. There is a huge body of research that unequivocally demonstrates that quality music programs taught by specialist music educators lead to better educational outcomes regardless of socioeconomic status. Children who attend regular music classes score higher in math and reading skills. Music education improves memory, emotional intelligence, problem-solving skills, and social skills. Students often find a community and connection in a music program that they may not have found elsewhere at school, which leads to improved mental health and increased attendance. The research shows that the school district's own strategic plan goals, which are to create student success, respect diversity and inclusion, and to facilitate well-being across the district, are directly supported by the benefits of a school music program. Every student should have access to high-quality programs regardless of what school they attend. Next slide, please. Beyond student success, school programs benefit our local community. Many of the community music groups, including a community band, symphony orchestra, numerous collaborative ensembles, and popular bands, are comprised of musicians that came through school programs. Our strong tradition of performing arts in our schools and broader communities has not only attracted and retained music teachers, but it also encouraged professionals from across sectors to take root in our community. At a time when ongoing labor shortages are affecting nearly every industry, including but not limited to education, healthcare, construction, information technology, the school district should prioritize investment in programs that not only benefit the local students, but contribute to a strong, vibrant community that is a desirable place to call home. Go ahead, Amber.
Hi, thank you. So we're going to jump into some recommendations that we would bring forward to the board for consideration. Just wanted to highlight this beautiful graphic that shows that students can be at the center and that a quality music educator is really, really central and requires support from a lot of different places for a program to be successful. Slide, please. Thanks. Yeah, and you can keep going. So there are a number of things that the school district can do to support music programs and establish a foundation for long-term success. We would recommend a number of things. We understand that the school board will be recruiting a new superintendent very soon, and we would like to ask that the recruitment of a superintendent will be considered with someone with ties to the local community and someone that understands our particular local context and the importance of school music programs to student success. Specifically, as a number of our long-term music specialists in the elementary programs are nearing the end of their careers, an engaged, supportive administration that actively recruits music educators with attractive job postings and provides ongoing support is instrumental in the long-term success of the program. We would ask that in direct consultation with incumbent music teachers, begin succession planning for when current music teachers retire or vacate a position. This planning should include partnerships with post-secondary music education programs to host student teachers, to build relationships and help to attract people to our community, directly involving existing teachers in the recruitment process because of the specialist knowledge required for the role and the unique team-based approach to the program. Ensuring a good fit is critical. And we would ask for careful consideration of the way job postings are drafted to encourage candidates with post-secondary training in music to apply and to effectively communicate the full scope of what the job entails. Can I have the next slide, please? We would ask for, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to say one more thing about the last slide. We'd ask for facilitation of full-time music specialists wherever possible, including increasing paid instructional time for classes like choir and jazz band that are often done by current teachers on a volunteer basis. Recruitment of teachers has been exceptionally challenging in recent years, and we will struggle to recruit and retain quality music educators if the jobs are not appealing, such as when we require to teach subjects outside their specialty and also volunteer substantial amounts of time. Thank you. We would also recommend implementation of a consistent school board policy that sets a minimum standard for music education in the district that ensures equal and inclusive access to music education for every student, regardless of school. We would recommend hiring a district vice principal for music and arts, or to restructure the existing district vice principal portfolios. Comprehensive admin support can reduce staff turnover and protect the program. And to enhance the existing program, reestablish the music program at Sewell Axe to facilitate equal access to music education for all students. and in consultation with existing incumbent teachers, facilitate beginning elementary band instruction 1 year earlier in grade 5. This could take the place of existing classroom music instruction and would not necessarily require an increase to existing budget. And then more instructional time for students in grades 7 and 8. Slide, please. In closing, the support of principals and senior admin for the music program is vital and begins with recruitment and hiring of qualified music specialists. School principals should support their own music program and educators and ensure that music classes are properly scheduled. And the director of HR must actively recruit qualified music educators for vacant positions with the understanding that a music teacher is a specialist, just like an automotive teacher or school psychologist. Music educators need administrative support due to the unique requirements of the team-based approach to the program. I know that we're at time, so I just want to thank you all very much for listening to our presentation and for all the hard work that you do. We're very appreciative.
Thank you. I want to thank, on behalf of the board and all of our educators and guests that are listening to you, thank you for bringing forward your recommendations, your worry areas, and put forward the strength of music education, arts education for everybody and all of our students. So we've got your recommendations. Thank you for submitting it ahead of time in writing as well so that consideration can be given. Thank you very much. So we will move forward with the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting, which was May 22nd, 2024. If I could have a mover and a seconder for those minutes. Karen, and I see Ed. Any questions on the minutes? All in favor? I see Karen, I see Ed. Mike, are you voting this time or not? No vote, okay. And we are passed, okay. And then we have the minutes of a motion, need a motion to receive the records of the in-camera meetings for May 22nd, 2024. A mover? Karen and Ed. Okay, all in favor? Okay, those attending have passed. Mike, are you approving or are you abstaining or what are you doing? Nothing? Okay. The summary of the special in-camera meeting of May 27th, 2024. I erred in asking Mike because he's not allowed to attend these meetings, so he wouldn't be part of voting for them. Karen and Ed, you okay? Moving and seconding? All in favor? Passed. Oh, great. We've got your picture back again, Wayne. Yeah, good. Yeah. And 6.3, summary of special in-camera meeting, June 12th, 2024. Wayne, would you like to move those and then Ed? Yeah. Whoops. Let's see, they're kicking me out of the office here. Oh dear. Okay. And all in favor? Passed. Okay. Now, if we can move on to business arising from the minutes, I'm going to try and get a light to go on again. No. Okay. There was no business arising from the minutes to bring forward. We have a Minister of Education and Childcare letter, concerns of anti-Semitism in BC classrooms and schools. A motion to receive that letter. Ed, Karen, you okay? All in favor of receipt? Thank you. We move to the Superintendent of Schools monthly report for the strategic plan year end. Karen, I'm going to pass it to you for a moment and I'm going to go make sure they're not going to set an alarm on me because I'm still in the meeting room here.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Aaron, go ahead.
Item 9 is the superintendent report for the month of June. It's found on pages 21 to 23 in the board package. And in a few moments, we will move on to 9.1, which is the strategic plan year-end report for 2023-24. So we'll start with the superintendent's report, starting on page 21. So on page 21, I've approach the superintendent's report with a message from the superintendent on the first page, again this month. And just want to draw attention in that letter to the busyness of all of our schools all year long, but especially during the month of June, highlighting all of the activities and celebrations and culminating assessments that are happening in our schools, but drawing particular attention to graduation celebrations and ceremonies that are happening at our secondary schools for students who are earning their Dogwood diplomas. And I do want to take a moment. I've had a chance to experience 3 or 4 of these events so far in the last few days, including one this afternoon, to acknowledge all of the individuals who are working so hard to go above and beyond to create a great experience for students at the end of the school year. And this afternoon was Parkside Secondary School's graduation, and it was a fabulous graduation that was the result of lots of individuals who made that happen. So thank you to everyone who has been working so hard for that. I'm also highlighting the All Our Relations Compassionate Canoe Journey session that happened at the end of May. And we have had 3 of those sessions happen this spring, which were involved multiple partners. So fortunate for the participation of so many individuals to come together. Most recently at the end of May to share stories of impact and stories of success for Indigenous learners all around the district. So thank you to everyone that has participated in those very important and meaningful sessions to improve outcomes for Indigenous learners. I also wanted to state that for, as we near the end of the year, probably for a few months now, we've been already doing our planning, of course, for the 2024-25 school year. Some of that planning is around, of course, our strategic plan and the action plan commitments that will be prioritizing the work of the strategic plan for next year. And those will be some things that become part of the agenda in our next board meeting, which will happen in the September. Also, just acknowledging in our May meeting, my resignation was announced. Thank you, board chair. And I just wanted to acknowledge that near the end of my letter on page 21, that I have had an amazing experience as a superintendent in Coast Mountain School District. I've used the word privilege multiple times, and it has indeed been a privilege and an honor to be in the role here in Coast Mountain School District. And it has been an experience I will absolutely never forget. I want to highlight on page 22 the fact that we are recognizing investment of a local partner, LNG Canada, who has invested over the last couple of years in the work of happening in our schools and in district. Just acknowledging on page 22 a recent commitment by LNG Canada to support targeted work that comes from our board's strategic plan. And specifically, recently in conversation with LNG Canada, they are supporting the K-3 Literacy Action Plan, which is over a 2-year period for 2024 through 2026. And so it's extending our thanks to a couple of key members from the LNG Canada social management team, Heather Taylor and Morgan Van Slinich, for their work in support of our schools and our communities in Coast Mountain School District. Highlighting some of the work within learner support this month. Over the last couple of weeks, we have had crisis response training taking place in the district. Director Nakars has been instrumental in getting that off the ground. And we did have the benefit of having a certified traumatologist from Vancouver meet with a large number of our staff for a 4-day training session. So thank you to Director Nakars for the work in organizing that. And from all reports, very meaningful learning and learning that will support our district for years to come. Board chairs and superintendents were part of a call on page 22. So acknowledging the BC's emergency preparedness. I've highlighted a number of the resources that were shared with Trustee Workup and myself going back on June 7th in a provincial call. And it is that time of year when we are trying to bring these resources to the awareness of all of our communities. And so there are a number to highlight on page 22 at the bottom. And finally, on page 23 for the superintendent's report, just acknowledging, again, some of the happenings around our district through our social media feeds. A couple that we're highlighting, just the work that's going on in Stewart with year-end projects and capstone projects were celebrated. as well as an Indigenous education outing towards the Kitlope with a number of Heisler students. And, you know, dates that are happening, I believe we did acknowledge that this is Indigenous History Month, and coming up on June 21st is National Indigenous Peoples Day. And so, again, it's a very busy month with lots of important things happening in schools and communities. So drawing those dates to everyone's attention on page 23. So that's the end of the superintendent's report, Chair. Oh, you might be muted.
I was, and they're not going to lock me out of here. They've just turned the power off, though. If I could have a motion to receive the superintendent's report, please. Wayne, second by Karen, and all in favor? Thank you. Passed. Perfect. Aaron, did you want to say anything about the strategic plan year-end report next?
Yeah, certainly. So starting on page 24 and through to page 31 is an update on the board's strategic plan year-end report. And so one of the things I think that we've benefited from a district is the action plan, the operational plan of the board strategic plan. This has been year 2 of implementation of the strategic plan. And last year and again this year, we've had multiple opportunities to talk about the plan throughout the year in our various committees, and almost monthly as part of our superintendent's report during the board public meetings. So at this time, I wanted to draw attention to the year-end report, which highlights the progress that was made on the 11 commitments that the board district staff made across multiple departments towards making improvement towards realizing the goals as outlined in the board strategic plan. And the boards, have been identified. The students are realizing their full potential. We are honoring and respecting culture, diversity, and inclusion, and we're facilitating well-being across the district. So I would like to say, before we just dive into a couple of highlights across the pages, it does represent the work of our entire district staff. And I'm very proud to say all of our team members at the district level contributed towards the action plans throughout the year. So commending our district leadership team members for their efforts. And I do want to say, and I've tried to acknowledge this, that there are always 2 parts to the work of the strategic plan. There is the operational and the action plan commitments that I'm speaking to this evening, but then there's the impact on students. So we are doing these things for a reason, so that they result in intended impacts for learners throughout our district. This evening's update is about the update on the progress for the commitments that were made. And I would say that in September, it will be on our board's public meeting to address some of the impacts that we've realized by year end. And those are great conversations to have in alignment with the Enhancing Student Learning report that will also be due in September. So what I would like to do is, without going into a lot of detail, I'm going to draw your attention, everyone, to pages 25 through 31. And what you'll see, without going to all of our team this evening, but what you'll see on pages 25 through 31 are each of the commitments that have been made across the 3 goal areas, and the contributions and the summaries of the progress contributed by our district staff across the 3 goal areas. I don't think this evening I'm going to go into each one, but I will say that as all 11 commitments were reviewed, they all were met with success. And by year end, the expectations for the vast majority of the actions that were intended were completed. So I present to you the updates for the board strategic plan across the 11 commitment areas for the board to receive this evening.
Okay, can I have a motion to receive the superintendent's report on the strategic plan, and then we'll ask any questions that we may have. So moved by Karen, second by Wayne. You okay seconding the receipt of the report? Any questions for Aaron on the report? I'm glad you highlighted that we're going to be reviewing it again in September. And we are in year 2 of our report, so we will be moving forward to also updating the report as the year goes by. Does any trustees have any questions on the report? Ed, go ahead. You're muted.
Aaron, are there any areas that you felt needed more support?
Well, thank you, Ed. And I would say one of the great things that happened in the beginning of the year as we mapped out the 11 commitments, we attended to the commitments on a monthly basis. So there was regular dialogue happening through the year. So we were well informed by all of the district staff as to the progress that was being made. The year, as you know, I think one of the things, Ed, that we talked about is sometimes we bite off a little bit more than we could chew. And when we say, were there areas that we needed more support? I think, when I think of the first outcome, the first goal, which was students realizing their full potential, a lot of resources were invested primarily into our literacy plan at K-3. And I think, again, I mentioned going back a couple of pages in the package this evening, very fortunate that we have had some targeted funding from local partners, including LNG, but also Rio Tinto, who would have supported a lot of that work. We are dipping into core funding for the vast majority of the rest of our strategic plan. So things like recruiting, which was part of this same goal. We are facing grave staffing challenges, across the country right now. More supports may have assisted in landing a few more teachers for next year. But I think what we did was we tried to look at our available resources and tried to allocate those resources to the very best we could. We have, taken advantage of supports by partners. So I'll highlight an example in well-being, where over the last number of months, we've worked with the BC Children's Hospital to map out a mental health and wellness plan for K-12. Very minimal cost for that. It was our time. And, when I think of the 2 or 3 senior staff here that were part of that lead team, along with some school-based staff, it didn't require any additional supports this year, but going forward, it will require some targeted resources, Ed. So good question. And I look to the team for September when they sit down and they map out the work ahead and the resources that will be required to meet those goals.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you. Any other questions from trustees? I don't see any, so we can move on to item number 10, the Indigenous Education Report. Mr. Clifton.
Thank you. I'm happy to do the last report of the year related to the incredible work that has occurred. And I want to pay respect to all of those who work for the department and all of those across the district who are in support of ensuring that the focused approaches that we are taking have impact on Indigenous learners. I'd like to also acknowledge and thank the Human Resources Department, who has been working hard to ensure that we have staffing in place for the September 2024 start. I also have conducted a review of the staffing to ensure that there's an equitable distribution of support workers in schools. We also are using data using data and the evidence in which we can see how much support is required at each school by tracking the levels of service and connections that are provided by using our new EdPlan Insight tool and the Indigenous Services module. I'd also like to acknowledge Kathy Sawchuk, the consultant that we contracted with to come and do ongoing support for the new focused approach that the Indigenous support workers have taken, so that we are both learning how to increase our ability to ensure that Indigenous learners are on the track to success. I'd also like to thank the Indigenous graduation advisors, Jan Thornburn, Jackie Robinson, Beverly Azak, and Spencer Edwards, for their work to take on the new role of the Indigenous graduation advisor. This role will be continuing on next year and will be now called the Indigenous Learner Success Advisor, because graduation is just one of the focuses that we have so that learners are on track, but we also want to ensure that we have those positions that are positioned in school to help remove any barriers that exist that may be preventing Indigenous learners' success. The Indigenous Learner Success Advisor, while focused on academics, also works and will work with support workers and our outreach workers in a robust circle of care to ensure that Indigenous learners are getting their needs are being met. I'd also like to acknowledge Lindsay Harder, who was the executive assistant to myself and the department, for her hard work for this year. Lindsay was a successful applicant to the position that Blanche Olson retired and now is the executive assistant to the Secretary Treasurer. Lindsay really contributed to ensuring that the department was running smooth and to make sure that I kept all my ducks in a row. We have now welcomed Diane Onuma as the administrative assistant, and she has been hard at work learning the systems and processes that will help support the department. I'd like to also acknowledge Anna Ashley, who has taken on the role this year as the Indigenous Education Teacher Mentor. There are many things that Anna ensured that were running smoothly, including the engagement of the role models in schools, and helped run the gathering in which we had role models, elders, and knowledge holders gather to talk about how moving forward that we would increase the participation and presence of elders and knowledge holders in the schools. I have also shared with the ITEC committee, the Intertribal Education Committee, Anna's work, including the incredible website that Anna has compiled, which highlights some of the culturally responsive resources that teachers can use to ensure that the learning design that they are providing also reflects the cultural identities of Indigenous learners in their classrooms. I also like to acknowledge Beverly Azek and her incredible work this year as the district vice principal. Beverly has really been flexible and been responsive to any request that has been made of her to do administrator coverage, to take on the role as a cultural teacher, to support Indigenous parents in navigating challenges that their children and youth are experiencing, and support any of the other initiatives that I have asked her to support, including the land-based learning and the enhancement of land-based learning. And I lastly want to thank Tammy Bullied and Stephanie Louie for their work in a new pilot position that ends at the end of this month, and that was of the Indigenous outreach worker. Next year, we are hopeful that we will create 3 positions that will be located in all 3 communities of Hazelton, Kitwanga, Terrace Thornhill, and Kitimat. The position will be called the Indigenous Learner Care Coordinator, and they will be working to ensure that Indigenous learners are provided additional services, help with the navigation of such with outside agencies, and work as part of that robust circle of care. We've, as they've gone about their work, as they've reported back to me, their scope and the needs of Indigenous learners has been really great. They've risen to the challenge and identified additional areas that need improvement, and we look forward to following up and putting in processes and structures so that we can ensure that Indigenous learners are taken care of. I'd also like to report and give an update on the LEA, and as mentioned in the previous report, that the ITEC had terminated their previous local education agreement and had requested that the model education agreement be in place. We have district leadership has met with ITEC members on 2 occasions so far to review all of the terms set forth in the model education agreement. And the work to identify any structures and processes that needed to be in place to meet the terms on all parties has begun. I understand that there will be another meeting that will be in which we've been invited to next week, and we look forward to ensuring that we have a great implementation guide to ensure that everyone is meeting the terms set forth in the Model Education Agreement. The intention from ITEC is to put that model LEA in place until the time that a localized LEA can be negotiated. The terms set forth in the model LEA requires that 90 days of notice be served to the board, and that upon that 90 days notice, it requires that model or that LEA that is in place terminates at the end of that school year. 180 days prior to that termination, the board must begin negotiations of a new localized local education agreement, which would mean that January 1st, if not earlier, the board must be in negotiation. And I believe we will be positioned to do so. I do want to state too that Kitson-Kalem has requested that their LEA also be terminated, but did request that they would want a localized LEA in place before the end of August. This does not follow the terms set forth in previous agreements, and that 90 days must be served in order for the board to be prepared for successful negotiations. And it's my recommendation that we respect that so that the representatives on all ends are able to plan for the initial and ongoing negotiations. On the next page, on page 35, I'd like to also acknowledge that meetings were held with Gitluk-Dax, Terrace Niska Society, Métis Nation BC, Northwest Métis Association, and Tri-River Métis Association upon their request and their desire for increased communication and partnership with the district, the Indigenous Education Department, because those are the organizations who represent and are responsible for the children, youth, and families and communities they serve. And we're really grateful for their partnerships as they've shown up to the All Our Relations gatherings over the year in support of ensuring that Indigenous learners are well supported, and also to contribute their ideas for ongoing work that we want to undertake in partnership. And lastly, like Aaron mentioned, just want to acknowledge the people who attended our All Our Relations Stories of Impact, and really want to thank the learners, Indigenous learners who came to share their stories, along with the staff who shared the work that we've been engaged in over the year. It was only a slice of some of the programs and services that Indigenous learners have engaged in. And I want to extend a gratitude to all educational partners, stakeholders, rights holders throughout this year, and only think that, you know, with walking together with respect and intentionality, that we will continue to do good work on behalf of the next generations of Indigenous children and youth. I will be providing a PDF of the slide presentations once I compile them all together, and it will be distributed to the board for their review. And that's my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can I have a motion to receive for information the Indigenous Education Report for June 2024? So moved by Mike, second by Karen. Any questions for Robert that are related to the report? Ed? Unmute.
Robert, I was just wondering if you had any plans to increase the amounts of communication with the teachers about all the good work that you're doing in the department.
Yes, so a monthly circular from that has been going out through Anna Ashley to the district has been around cultural communications and identifying resources. I hope that in partnership with our senior management team that we will continue to provide increased opportunities for teachers to gather and for the department to share both its knowledge along with the community members. So as one of the things that didn't get completed this year were the circles, the learning circles that we were going to conduct and invite all employee groups and anybody who was interested in ongoing learning so that we have supportive relationships to engage in this very important and sacred work.
Excellent. Other questions? If not, thank you for your report, Robert, and we'll continue to move on to the business committee. And Ed, you were unmuted, so you could start again. Yeah.
Did we vote on the last?
No, oh, thank you. All in favor of the receipt of the report? Thank you. Thanks. Passed. Sorry. Thanks for the nudge.
Okay.
Ed's turn.
So this is the business committee material, and I should warn you, there is quite a bit of it. The first action would be the minutes of the business committee meeting June the 12th, 2024. They're attached for your reading, and they are on pages 36 through 39. So the action motion that the minutes of the business committee meeting held June the 12th, 2024 be received for information.
Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Karen. All in favor of receipt of the minutes? We've lost Mike, but everybody else is here, so passed.
Okay. The next item is the draft preliminary 2024-2025 annual budget bylaw. The background is that the reference the attached 2024-2025 annual bylaw and budget version 4214 3468 through 1485. As directed by the board, the Budget Working Committee has fulfilled its mandate and has provided a broad opportunity for input into the decision-making regarding the 2024-25 preliminary annual budget. The Business Committee reviewed the draft preliminary annual budget at its June 12th, 2024 meeting and brings forward to the board for the board's consideration and adoption. Approval is required by the board to utilize a portion of the restricted local capital reserves in the amount of $114,947 to balance the 2024-25 annual operating budget. A bylaw of the Coast Mountains Board of Education, School District 82, is required to adopt the annual budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 pursuant to Section 113 of the School Act as detailed in the attached bylaw. The recommended actions, and I believe, Margaret, we can pass these in seriatim before we proceed. That the board approve the transfer of $114,947 from the local capital reserve to the 2024-2025 annual operating budget. The second part of that is that the 2024-2025 annual budget bylaw and budget version 4214 through 3468, 1485 be read a first time the 19th day of June 2024. And I think that one, does that one have to be voted on at this point?
Yes, it does. And
Yep.
Carol's trying to phone me at the same time. I can't multitask, sorry, Ed. So a
Nope.
seconder for your motion. So done by Wayne. All in favor of passing this? Everybody, and we're still missing Mike, but passed. Thank you. Then go ahead. Yes, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. We have to do them separately. Each one has to be read and voted on separately.
Okay, so the first motion is that the board approves the transfer of 114,947 from the local capital reserves to the 2024-2025 annual operating budget. So moved by Ed, seconded by somebody second that, Wayne? All in favor? Everybody's hand is up, but we're still missing Mike. Okay. Second motion is that the 2024-2025 annual budget bylaw and budget version 4214-3468-1485 be read for the first time the 19th day of June 2024. So moved by Ed, seconded by Wayne. All in favor? Passed. Yours is next, Ed.
Okay, that's the third part of this is that the 2024-2025 annual budget bylaw and budget version 4214-3468-1485 be read a second time the 19th day of June 2024.
So moved by Ed, a seconder. Wayne, thank you. All in favor? Passed. We now need unanimous consent is required to proceed to a third meeting. What do I do when Mike's not here? Just proceed with those in attendance because it's still a quorum. So
Yes.
Can I have unanimous consent that we move forward to the third reading? Can I show a vote, please? There's Ed's passed. Thank you. Go ahead, Ed.
The third reading is that the 2024-2025 annual budget bylaw and budget version 4214-3468 through 1485 be read a third time, passed and adopted the 19th day of June 2024.
Seconded by Wayne. All in favor? Passed. Thank you. I want to thank the Budget Committee and specifically Ginger for working very hard on this and having our budget ready to go to be submitted and on the timelines, etc. So Ed, next is
Go back to 11.12.
11.12, the 5-year plan, capital plan, or 5-year plan intake call for projects. You missed that when you went direct to the bylaw.
I did.
So that's 11.12. 5-year capital plan intake call for projects. Can you find it there?
No. Mark.
Okay. Yep, I'll give you a second to find it.
No, I'm not going to find it, Margaret.
Okay, so I will read it. The 2025-2026 5-year capital plan intake call for projects. The annual 5-year capital plan submissions from the Board of Education are used by the Ministry of Education and Childcare to determine which priority capital projects may be included in the ministry's capital plan for the following year. The capital plan submissions provide the ministry important insight into future capital priorities, which can be used for longer-term government planning and the determination of potential future capital planning requirements for the public education system. The Ministry of Education and Childcare has issued a call for projects for the submissions for the 2025-2026 capital plan year. The Capital Assets Planning System, which is called MyCaps, enables the ministry to issue a call for submissions for school districts for 5-year capital plans separately for major capital projects and minor capital projects with different submission deadlines. The deadlines for submission in 2025-2026 are major capital programs, June 30th, 2024, minor capital programs, September 30th, 2024. The staggered deadlines are intended to provide the ministry with input required to initiate planning over the next budget cycle, which enables school districts additional time and flexibility to plan over the summer. School districts may provide all submissions by June 30th, 2024 deadline. Attached is a summary of the 2025 to 2026 5-year capital plan intake call for projects requiring board's approval for submission to the ministry. The business committee reviewed the summary at its June 12th, 2024 meeting and forwards to the board for approval. The motion is that the board approve the 2025-2026 5-year capital plan, major and minor capital projects submission to the Ministry of Education's Capital Management Branch. Could I have a mover, please, for that? So moved by Ed, a seconder. Karen, thank you. Any questions for Rob Shively, who's done a lot of work to develop this and know what we need? We have lots of capital needs. Any questions at all? Comments, Ed or Rob, in terms of the workload?
I'm sorry, but I would just like to clarify for the board that we actually need 2 separate resolutions, one for the submission of the major capital plan for June 30th and a second resolution for the submission of the minor capital plan.
With your permission then, because that's not what it says on my piece of paper, but with your permission, Ed, and the seconder, can we move it to the 5-year capital plan for major be approved for the June 30th date?
Yeah.
I see 2 nods. All in favor? And then I'll do a second motion that the board approve the 2025 to 2026 5-year minor capital project submission for the ministry. So moved, Ed. Second, somebody, Wayne. All in favor? Passed. Rob, did I do it right yet?
Yes, my apologies for how that was structured. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you for all the work at looking at our capital and our minor capital and what we needs to get done. So there's lots and you've had to prioritize. Let's look at 11.1.4, the student code of conduct.
Okay, revised policy 1025, the student code of conduct. This is a minor revision. The background is July the 1st, 2024, the Ministry of Education and Childcare informed school districts that the provincial standards for codes of conduct order has been amended. Reference the attached letter. This order sets out the standards that boards of education must meet in establishing student codes of conduct for their respective districts. The amendments require all boards of education to include one or more statements in their codes of conduct about restricting the use of personal digital devices at the school to promote focused learning environments and online safety. The ministry has asked that the boards of education update their codes of conduct to align with the amended provincial standards for codes of conduct order by July 1st, 2024, with submission to the ministry. Based on the amended legislation, housekeeping revisions were made to the attached revised policy 1025 student code of conduct to align with the ministry order. In addition, on January the 26th, 2024, BC Premier David Eby announced the province would be working with school districts to ensure restrictions were in place for the use of cell phones by students in schools beginning in September. Revisions have been made to the policy 1090, Bring Your Own Technology, BYOT, that align with feedback received through recent community engagement, as well as the School Act amendments coming into effect July the 1st, 2024, and will be forwarded to the board for second and final reading at the June 19th, 2024 regular board meeting. The revised policy is presented to the board for information by the Business Committee and the Policy Review and Development Committee, as reviewed at the respective meetings held on June 6th and 12th, 2024. The motion is that the revised policy 1025 student code of conduct be presented for information at the June 19th, 2024 regular board meeting.
Ed so moved that this be received for information. A seconder? Karen? All in favor? Passed. Thank you. And you can move on now to policy 1090.
All right. So the revised policy 1090, bring your own technology. This is the second and final reading. The attached revised policy 1090, bring your own technology, BYOT, received first reading at the May 22nd, 2024 regular board meeting and was circulated to our partner groups and posted at the district's website for feedback on May the 23rd, 2024. Feedback was received, and after careful consideration by the Policy Review and Development Committee, changes were made to the policy. The revised policy is presented to the board with a recommendation for second and final reading by the Business Committee and the Policy Review and Development Committee, as reviewed at the respective meetings held on June the 6th and the 12th of 2024. The background to this is the Ministry of Education and Childcare and BC School Trustees Association, BCSTA, in partnership with a sector advisory committee, co-developed voluntary provincial criteria for school trustee codes of conduct to provide trustees with clarity on their roles and responsibilities respecting conduct. Codes of conduct can assist boards to focus on the core responsibilities to deliver educational programs and to support safe and inclusive schools and workplaces. The ministry and BCSTA are requesting the board submit their revised codes of conduct by April 30th, 2024, in response to the province's narrative, the provincial narrative. The Policy Development and Review Committee sought feedback from partners related to Policy 1090, effectiveness in keeping students both engaged in learning and safe during their time in school. More than 500 responses from school district employees, students, parents, caregivers, community members, and other partners were received, with the overwhelming majority looking for more restrictions on the use of cell phones and other personal digital devices by students during the school day. Revisions have been made to the attached policy 1090, bring your own technology, BYOT, that align with feedback received through recent community engagement, as well as School Act amendments coming into effect July the 1st, 2024. The recommended action is that the revised policy 1090, bring your own technology, BYOT, be presented for second and final reading at the June 19th, 2024 regular board meeting.
So moved for second reading by Ed, seconded by Wayne. All in favor of the revised policy? Passed. Any comments or questions? It's certainly a controversial or conversation that's happening amongst all as to how we keep students safe with the use of technology, how we appropriately use it in education. And certainly it's an issue of discussion, and let's we've done the best to follow the guidelines and the input that we received. Any other comment or thought? Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, I think in fairness, the whole issue of equity comes into this, where if the teacher is using technology as and accessing their textbooks electronically, the equity issue is important that all students have access to that material through the technological device. And I think that's an important issue that we need to address, and I don't think we have fully yet.
No. I would agree. Equity and how the policy is implemented is going to take some good dialogue in terms of what's best for students and for teachers and the schools. Yeah. And not easy answers sometimes, because equity is so hard with the limited resources that we have. Any other comments? I want to thank the policy committee for having lots of good dialogue on this back and forth and trying to figure out what's right and for right now. And also at any time, there can always be input back into policies and procedures. Okay, let's move forward then to, I believe, oh, you've got one more.
We have one more, and that's item 11.1.6.
Yes.
The draft 2024-25 internal administrative calendar. Reference the attached draft internal administrative calendar for 2024-25 school year. The draft internal administrative calendar was reviewed by the business committee at its June 12th, 2024 meeting and brings forward to the board with a recommendation for acceptance. The recommended action is that the board accept the 2024-25 internal administrative calendar.
So moved by Ed, a seconder. Wayne, thank you. All in favor of the proposed calendar? Passed, thank you. And now we can move to the Education Committee. Karen.
Hello. Okay, now 11.2.1 Education Committee meeting minutes for the meeting that was held June the 5th. You can find that in your package, pages 78 to 99. I'd like to move that the minutes of the Education Committee meeting held June 5th, 2024 be received for information.
So moved by Karen, second, Wayne. All in favor? Passed, thank you. And the Education Committee part was shorter this time, thank you. So we do have a couple of things in new business. And I'm realizing, because I picked up my package early, that correct me, Carol, if I'm on the wrong items and as we go into the new business. So under 12.1 is the school trustee censured for misconduct. And the news release is attached in everybody's package. And basically, I'm announcing that we as a school board or as a committee have sanctioned trustee Mike Maxim based on breaching school district policies 2010 harassment, 2020 respectful workplace, and 5010 our trustee code of ethics. This means trustee Maxim is excluded from in-camera meetings for the board from June 30th until June 30th, 2025. Excluded from participation in board committees, including the meetings with teacher trustees. Trustee participation in the regular board meeting will be virtual, and the trustee may not be on any school district, school, or property, including the Board of Education office, without the prior consent of the board chairperson or the vice chairperson. The trustee may participate in third-party hosted events such as the BCSTA, BC School Trustees Association, Trustee Academy, or annual general meeting at his own expense, should he choose to. Sanctions imposed on the trustee are shared with the public, so it has gone out as a public notice as well. So I submit that for your information, and that the board has been busy with that. And trustee, the process that we have is a policy that can be reviewed by anybody if you want to see how complaints are dealt with and the steps that we take that way. So then we can move forward to the 2024-2025 Annual Facilities Grant Expenditure Plan. Who is presenting that? Oh, that's Ginger. Oh, all of a sudden they turned the lights on in here. Oh dear. Okay, go ahead, Ginger.
Sorry, Ginger was unaware that she was. I didn't take a close enough look. I thought Mr. Shibley was taking care of this. So
do you want him to do it?
No, that's fine. Meeting agenda item 12.2, the 24-25 Annual Facilities Grant Expenditure Plan. One of the core functions of the Ministry of Education and Childcare is to allocate funds for K-12 public education systems. And these funds include capital funding for school construction and operating funds for ongoing renovations and upgrading required to maintain the condition of existing capital assets. The 24-25 Annual Facilities Grant, the AFG, allocated for Coast Mountain School District 82 totals $1,944,401 as referenced in the attached AFG expenditure plan grant allocation issued by the Ministry of Education. The allocation of school districts AFG is calculated by the Ministry of Education and Childcare using a formula based on student enrollment, average age of facilities, with an adjustment made for unique geographical factors. To comply with the Treasury Board direction, each school district must annually provide the Ministry of Education with an AFG project and spending plan prior to the allocation of the AFG funding. Specifically, each school district's plan will include a list of AFG projects and expenditures expected to be undertaken during the fiscal year April 1st to March 31st. At the end of each school year, the boards of education must report on actual AFG expenditures as a part of their audited financial statements. The ministry may request further details with respect to annual facility projects and annual facility expenditures for a given year. Attached for information is the 2024-25 AFG project summary list for Coast Mountain School District 82 as submitted to the Ministry of Education and Childcare Capital Management Branch on May 17th, 2024. The 2024-2025 AFG Ministry Expenditure Grant Allocation and Project Summary List are being forwarded directly to the board for information.
So moved by Karen, you okay? So moving this receipt, second for receipt of the information. Wayne, all in favor of receipt? Thank you. And then next on my agenda, I have the Parkside Secondary School Bus Purchase Proposal, which requires a motion, but I don't know who's presenting it.
That'd be me.
Okay, Ginger, twice. Thank you.
So meeting agenda item 12.3, Parkside Secondary School Bus Purchase Proposal. The Parkside Secondary School has put forward a proposal to purchase a 24-passenger bus to support the new land-based learning program approved for the 24-25 school year. Parkside Secondary School will be piloting the program with 15 students. The program will run the full school year for those students. The long-term vision for the land-based program is for it to include cohorts of students from several Terrace and Thornhill schools so that more students will be able to benefit from learning about seasonal harvesting, growing, gathering, and utilization of land resources for learning purposes. Students involved in the land-based program will be able to take their learning back to their home school to share with classmates and weave into their regular program courses. The land-based learning program with emphasis on traditional Indigenous ways of working with local flora and fauna and how these land practices create more sustainable communities. Transportation for getting students out on the land is a must for this program to operate. Thus, the need for a 24-passenger van. Parkside Secondary School is prepared to dedicate $20,000 towards the purchase of the bus and continue to contribute funds each year towards paying off the cost of the purchase. When other schools are brought on board to participate in the land-based program, the expectation is that they will also contribute for paying to the bus. Fees can be collected from schools using the bus for other activities requiring transportational support. And these fees will be allocated against the purchase cost. The cost of a 24-passenger bus is approximately $145,368.80, tax and fees included. There's a quote attached. As this program is set to begin in September, time is of the essence to secure a bus. This request is being forwarded directly to the board for consideration. Would you like me to read what the motion is?
Yes, please. Yeah.
The recommended action is that the board approve the purchase of the 24-passenger bus using local capital reserve funds with funding to be repaid by Parkside Secondary School and other participating Terrace and Thornhill schools in the land-based learning program, plus generated fees for the use of the bus by schools for other activities when the bus is available.
So moved by, is there a trustee? Mike, so moves the motion, seconded by Ed. Any questions on the details of how this loan is done? It's been done before. All in favor? Passed. Thank you. We've now moved towards trustee reports. My report is in the package, and I'll do a motion to receive the report, but I just like to, we can all read it. Make the one comment or a special comment that on behalf of the Board of Education, as Aaron starts on his new path and leaves us, we want to extend our thanks for the work he has done with it for us. And at this board meeting, we will have reviewed our strategic plan. And when I was thinking about Aaron leaving and what compliment to give, I really wanted to share that he's really focused in on our strategic plan and where our district can grow and improve, and has had his staff support to do so. And we really appreciate that work. Can I wish you, on behalf of the board, all the best in your future and your new endeavors. And I'm sure our paths may pass again. So I submit my report for information. I need a motion to receive and then to second it. Ed, will you receive it? Thank you. Second, Karen. All in favor of receiving that report? Done. Thank you. And let's now move to any trustee reports. If anybody has any reporting to do. Anybody want to make any comments? Ed, go ahead first. You're muted. Yeah.
Sorry, I was at the third session of the All My Relations Day, and that was pretty exciting to be able to talk to the students or just listen to their enthusiasm for the programs that they were involved in the schools. That was really quite neat. We heard from Kitimat, Terrace, and Hazelton. The other event I attended was Maker Day, and that was pretty exciting as well. There was lots of displays for the students that Geraldine and the team had put together, and the students were clearly enthusiastic about the whole event, where they were learning bits and pieces of different jobs that they can do ranging from agriculture through to construction and cranes and all that. And that was pretty exciting just to talk to some of the students and realize just how much they were paying attention to what was going on around them in terms of the learning that day. And not only grade 7 students, but also some of the younger elementary students came over and looked at it too. So it was a good day for learning about what can be possible as you journey through your educational career.
Excellent. Other trustees have any comment or question? Karen?
Yeah, it's been a really busy month. I attended the All Our Relations as well. Robert, it was fantastic. So well done. So well received, really, really powerful, and I'm grateful to have attended. I also went to opening friendships agreement for Minette Bay, the park there. The mayor and the Chief Crystal Smith were there, signed agreements. It's a really nice spot, and I can see a lot of our students being there for field trips or with their families. Just a really nice addition to the community. And I went to the Young Entrepreneur Fair at Kildella School. Really good program, these kids. I guess their theme was using like reusable things or recycling things they already have. I mean, these kids are doing business plans and costs and marketing and the whole bit. There's so many learning opportunities there. And, you know, Mrs. Stryker, so well done. I just got to give her a shout out for that. I also went to the Maker Day. I was so impressed. The whole event was so well organized. There was so much for those kids to see and do. I mean, you see these young kids hooking up sinks and framing walls, like, holy smokes. It was really, really good. And they all had tomato plants from the horticulture section of it. Nails painted from the cosmetician part. No, it was just really well done. There was so much there, and I sure hope we continue doing that program. I think it really it shows kids what is out there that they probably otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to see. I also attended the KCH grad ceremony. Just wonderful. It's always so nice to see the kids at the end of the school year and their school career, and before they move on to whatever they're going to do in life. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all of those wonderful experiences that I had this month at the end of the school year. And thank you, everybody. And I also want to say, Erin, thank you so much for all that you've done here. Appreciate everything, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you. Okay, I think I've lost my other two trustees, so I will go to question period. Does anybody have any questions for the board? I don't see any hands up, but I'll give you a moment. Thank you for attending our meeting. Yeah. Krista J has her question up, or hand up. Go ahead, Krista. Krista, are you there, or is it an old screen, or are we struggling to get on? Oh, maybe I'll try. Oh, now she's disappeared on my screen. Is she still on yours, Carol? No? Okay. I'll reach out to or Krista can reach out to us at some point if she has questions and that. If she's lost connectivity. Okay, if I don't see anything more, can I have a motion for adjournment then, please? So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Erin, for your last meeting with us, and all the best for the future. Yeah. Take care and we'll enjoy your evening, everybody. Take care. Yeah, bye-bye.